Okay, hi. So I want to show you how to work a Cengage problem where we are given two alternative financing plans made up of us trying to raise some capital. And in plan one, we're going to raise capital by issuing bonds and common stock. And in plan two, we're going to use all three. We're going to issue bonds, preferred stock, and common stock. So I wanted to work this problem out where I'm actually working a book problem out of Cengage because there's just a couple of hints that can make this go a lot easier for you. So as I go, I'm going to tell you what those hints are so that hopefully if any of that is causing an issue for you, it will be explained here and you'll know why and how to do it on a going forward basis. Alright, so we are going to be deciding if these are good plans based on their impact on our earnings per share. So the first thing we have to do is know how to calculate earnings per share. So earnings means earnings, which is our numerator, which is going to be income minus preferred stock dividends, because that's what earnings is remaining for our common shareholders. So our numerator is earnings minus any preferred stock dividends. Our denominator is number of shares of common stock, because we're actually getting our earnings per share for common stockholders. Okay, so the things that we need to know are, first of all, how to calculate preferred stock dividends. So if we look at our preferred stock, whenever we have one in Plan 2, we are given $1, which is our preferred stock promise, basically, and $20 par. Sometimes we're given a percentage, sometimes we're given $1. So let me explain how we're going to use this. So it's always going to be the dividend amount times number of shares. So in this case, it's going to be $1 times number of shares. If this was a percentage, it would be a percentage of par. So it would be percent times par times number of shares. Now we got to talk about how we know how many shares there are. Well, we know that number of shares times par always equals this value because we always list it at par value. So working backwards, we can know that if we take our value, 6 million, divided by par, 20, we can find out how many shares of preferred stock we have. So let's just make ourselves a note before we go any further. Preferred stock, all right? So we can take our value, divided by par, and that is how many shares of preferred stock we have. Alright, so we can do the same thing for common stock. We'll have to do it twice. We'll have to do it for Plan 1 and Plan 2. So for common stock, Plan 1, we can take the value, which is 6 million, divided by the par, and that is how many we have for Plan 1. For common stock Plan 2, how many shares are we issuing? Well, we'll take the value, 4 million, divided by par, 25, and that's how many shares. So that's just some of the information we need to know that we've learned in previous chapters for this problem. The new information that we need to know is how to put these numbers in and get to earnings per share. Alright, so this is just information from my problem. I'm going to stick it over here because I don't want it in my way as I do my calculations. Alright, so this is the amounts that are given. And so let's just put in our earnings before bond interest and income tax. Alright, so that is our earnings before we take out interest and income tax. Alright, they give it to us at $800,000. Alright, the first thing we'll subtract from that is bond interest. In this first plan, we are planning to give out $6 million worth of bonds at a 5% interest rate. So our annual interest rate will be 6 million times our annual interest rate of 5. So the interest expense will be $300,000. So now our earnings before income tax, because we've already taken out bond interest, so now it's just earnings before income tax, is 800 minus 300,000. Now we need to take out income tax. So our income tax rate, they give it to us at 40%. So we multiply 500,000 times 40%, and we have a new number here that will be our earnings. We've taken out bond interest and income tax, so this is just straight earnings. So 500,000 minus 200,000 is 300,000. And I don't really want to have extra of those in there. Okay, so now we have our income. That's our earnings. So now we need to take out our preferred stock dividends because we're trying to get to this numerator. So preferred stock dividends. Well, in Plan 1, we don't have any preferred stock, so that's 0. So now we have earnings available to common stockholders. 300 minus 0 is still 300,000. That's our numerator. Now let's work on our denominator. We need number of shares of common stock. So number of shares of common stock for Plan 1, remember, is 6 million divided by $25 par. So number of shares is 240,000. So our earnings per share is 300,000 divided by 240,000. And we need this to have some decimals so we can see what it is. $1.25. So I'll put this in over here and check my work and see what it says. All right, let's do Plan 2. Earnings before interest and income tax is still 800,000. Bond interest this time will be the 2 million times 5%. So therefore, earnings just before income tax will be the 800 minus the bond. So now to calculate income tax, it'll be the 700,000 times 40%, which is our income tax rate. So now just to get straight earnings, another way to see that is earnings after bond interest and income tax, is going to be 7 minus 280, 700 minus 280,000 times 40, that's right. All right, now preferred stock dividends. So we're just given a dollar value. So we don't have to worry about percent times par times number of shares. We can just say dollar times number of shares. So dollar times number of shares. So number of shares is 6 million divided by 20, which is 300,000. So $1 times 300,000 is 300,000. So what's available for our numerator is the 420 minus the 300,000. That's my numerator. That is earnings minus preferred stock dividends. Number of shares of common stock in Plan 2 is equal to the 4 million divided by 25. So that's 160,000. So now I'm ready to divide. My income minus preferred stock dividends divided by number of shares of common stock. So my earnings per share is 75 cents. I'll put it in, I'll check my work, and we got it right. So let me know if you have any questions.